Oh, sugar, I'm online. Sorry about that, guys. It's my phone. I've got my phone on the tripod. Anyway, guys, I hope everyone's had a great day today, whatever you're doing. Most of all, staying nice and safe, nice and warm, and away from this pandemic, what's about today. Well, tonight, guys, I want to talk to you about a subject which I posted up on my YouTube channel a few days ago, and it was about a subject. I think it was about, it was called addictions. So I want to talk to you about addictions. First of all, I was going to do a live podcast with a very good friend of mine, VW Ranks, aka that's his street name, but his real name is Jason Ranks. And me and Jason was going to get together and do a podcast together, but unfortunately Jason has had a few technical issues his end, but we're going to get it sorted out over the next few days, and we'll get that story uploaded onto my channel. So I apologise to anyone that was waiting for that video, but it's just, it's computers for you. Technical problems you just can't help sometimes. So, but I will be getting that video uploaded very soon. Anyway, guys, tonight I want to talk to you about, as I said, addictions. So the first addiction I'd like to talk to you about is probably one of the worst ones there is about today, and one of the worst ones. It was literally an epidemic years ago when it come into the UK and hit the UK, and that was heroin, also known as smack, brown. There's quite a few names, whatever you want to call it. And quite a few people just tried it just tried it to start off with, and after 3 or 4 days became addicted to it and stayed on it for most of their life, and are still on it today, because of what you go through to come off of the crap. But we'll be talking about that a bit further down the video. So at the minute I'm talking to you about addictions. That's the first one. Let me just put this down. So I'll tell you a little bit about how I become addicted to the crap, which was in the early 1990s. I was in Wormwood Scrubs prison doing a 3-year sentence, and there was brown or smack or whatever you want to call it flying about up and down the landings. And for the first few months, obviously, I looked at people that took that stuff as dirty, and people who I wouldn't want to associate myself with, certainly. But after taking it for a few times, it certainly did get hold of me, and I'll be talking to you a bit about that a bit later. But this is how I become addicted to it. Outside, as everyone knows me and all my family know me, I'm like a party person. I love going to parties. I love going to barbecues. I used to love the nightlife. I used to love raves. Used to love all the acid house and everything else. I was never ever into anything like that at all until I went into prison. So yeah, this is where many people pick up their habits in prison. And to be honest with you, I was a lot more vulnerable in prison than what I was outside of prison, because there were so many people on it, and the temptations got a little bit too much for me, and I tried it. I was given it basically from a friend, or so I called a friend at the time. I was given it a few times. I enjoyed it. I liked it because of what I used to do. I used to put it onto the foil, make a tube, and used to burn the with a lighter underneath the foil with a tube hanging out my mouth, and used to run up and down. So it's called chasing the dragon. And yeah, the first time I took it, it made me very violently sick. But at the same time, it wrapped me up in cotton wool. It made me feel, it just put me into a nice little cocoon. It took my mind, it took my body, my soul, and everything out of the whole place what I was in at that time, which was the prison cell, with one of my friends who was taking it. So yeah, it put me into a nice little cocoon, made me feel warm, and took my head outside of prison. So I mean, all the morals and not solidarity, but yeah, it's the morals. They all go when you go to prison, and you're behind that door, because I've spoke about it in other videos. I know some proper staunch armed robbers, and you would just look at them wrong inside jail, and you'd get a slash across your face, or you'd get a right hand and there'd be a punch up there and then, at the top of the tree. So I know some staunch people what fell off the wagon and went onto it, but didn't like expose that they had a habit, or didn't like other people knowing that they had a habit, because they were so high up in the underworld scene. And that's the truth of the matter. But yeah, I've got my first habit in Wormwood Scrubs. As I said to you, I do slip off the story a little bit, but I like to elaborate on it, because as most of you guys know on my channel, I'm an author. I'm not the best author in the world. I've never claimed to be, and I won't be. But I like getting my stories noted down, putting it onto a PC, and sharing my stories with other people. So this is why I'm actually doing these videos, to share my stories and to inspire others, and to let other people know that, don't follow my footsteps. But yeah, that's when I first got my first habit. So I took it for a few times, and it was free. I think it was the fourth day, I woke up that morning and I just did not feel right in any way, shape or form. On the third night, I did not sleep one wink, not one wink. My legs, I was on the top bunk bed, and my legs were going like that on the top bunk bed. I was throwing myself all across the top of the bunk bed. My legs were climbing up the walls, and that's where that saying originally comes from. You're climbing the walls. That's where it comes from. The withdrawals of heroin. So yeah, I was climbing the walls, and my legs, they call it riding the bike. So your legs are constantly going like that. It grabs hold of a part of a receptor in your brain, and that receptor is like the devil, and it won't stop. It just won't stop niggling at you until you feed it. And it's one of them types of receptors in your brain. So it's very, 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 very hard to defeat and come off. And I've lost many people along the way down to it, ODing, having a bad batch, or So yeah, but anyway, I took it, and the third night, my legs were going. On the fourth morning, I woke up, and I told my cellmate was in bed. He was asleep at like 8:30, 9 o'clock, like he was every night. He had a raging habit, and I was up all night staring at the ceiling and on the bike. And on the fourth morning, I didn't sleep. I threw some water over my face, and I asked my cellmate, and my cellmate's name was James at that time. I'm not going to mention those surnames, but it was James in the Scrubs. And I said to James, I said, I'll tell you what, James, I just don't feel right. I said, I haven't slept. I said, I'm thrashing my body all around the place. I've got I had diarrhea. I was freezing cold, but I had like loads of blankets around me. I was shivering. My skin was alive. I was ripping myself. I was anxious. You could see I was ready to rip someone apart there and then. And my friend put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, welcome to the world of addiction. And I'll never ever forget them words, what he said to me. Welcome to the world of addiction. That was the very, very first time in my whole life that I've ever been addicted to a drug. And that's where it stemmed from, guys. Not many people, even in my direct family, know that. That's where I'll pick that habit up from, in jail. So that's the story, how I got addicted to it. And like many other inmates, it's not like you can go to or ring someone up and get a bit dropped off to you. You've got to graft, you've got to run around, you've got to put yourself in deep waters, you've got to do things what you wouldn't normally do to get that next bag. You've got to talk to people who you wouldn't normally talk to, and the dealers are laughing their heads off. They're grinning their heads off, and that you're giving them a nice big bank account. And they don't understand. The dealers don't understand withdrawals, or what they're putting people through. All they're interested in is their pocket and their money, and that's all they're interested in. They don't even want to understand what they're doing to people, killing people, and people are dying for that drug. They're just not interested. So yeah, do I hate drug dealers with that type of drug? I most certainly do. That's all I've got to say on that, guys. But so the next one I'm going to go to is number 2, and it's all about funding addiction. So if you go, for instance, if you go to work and you've got it could even be a cocaine habit, because you can get addicted to cocaine too, but it's not the same withdrawals. You don't physically withdraw through cocaine. Well, I never have, and I've took it for many, many years. It's more of a mental thing. So I'm going to stay on the brown, on the smack one, because it isn't just gangsters, and it isn't just like homeless people and walks of life like that what are actually addicted to brown. You've got all types of people. You've got doctors, lawyers, judges, policemen, nurses, firemen, in all walks of life, people are addicted to it. And I found this out many, many years later by just sitting in different houses, like crack houses and brown houses, and just watching the punters coming in and out. And it used to amaze me. It used to shock me. There was people coming in with like all suited and booted with a briefcase, and looked like very, very professional people. But yeah, I used to see them come into the houses now and then, picking their bit of thingy up and putting it in their pocket and going on their own little way. But so yeah, it gets hold of everyone in the end. There's no one in the world what can and what has controlled heroin. It always controls you in the end. You can't control it at all. It's not like cocaine. You can keep control up to an extent with cocaine, especially if you haven't got an addictive personality and you can take it or leave it. So you can control that. But with the brown stuff, you can't control. You physically need it. And, you go to work, you don't think that other people realise, and you don't think that other people know that you're on it, but other people can tell, because your eyes are like piss holes in the sand. You're always scratching your nose, you're gouching, and then you're having fluts of like sentences, and then you're blah, 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 blah. You can just tell, do you know what I mean? And for people that don't actually work, their addiction, initially, it'll probably start off really small with it, especially with heroin. It's not like crack, it's expensive. Heroin was pretty cheap to start off with, so, you might buy half a gram or something like that, and that might last you 3 or 4 days. But what happens is after a few weeks, your tolerance goes up, and you become immune to it. So you actually need the same amount just to get you out of bed and for you to function. And if you don't have that same amount, even if you drop just, a little tiny bit, you'll feel that drop too. So what happens is your addiction gets higher and higher and higher, and it gets so high up to a point where you've got to commit crimes to fund your habit. And then what happens then. You commit crimes, you fund the habit, you get locked up, you go to jail, and hopefully you sort your habit out in jail. But nowadays, that's very unlikely, because European rights come into action, and a few people what was on a script outside of jail, what was on methadone scripts, they went to jail, and the prison didn't issue their script, so they sued the prison, and they got an X amount of thousands and thousands of pounds. It was for unlawful suffering or something like that. So even if you go to jail now with an addiction, and if you're on a script outside, you can get that. You can actually get that script in jail, methadone. So, I mean, unlike years ago, if you had a habit on brown, you went to jail, you was left in the cell to cluck, and you could not get no script, you could not get no medication, and the screws or no one else around you was interested in your withdrawals. You had to just get on with it, and that was the best way, because that was the way you got clean. But nowadays, they're funding that in jail, and I don't agree with that at all, to be honest with you, because when you party hard and you take drugs, all good things come to an end, so they always say, and that's the truth. You pay for it very dearly. But then when you go to jail, you normally get a, you know, you do whatever you've got to do to get through your sentence, whether you play up or you settle down, you know. But 9 times out of 10, especially coming towards the end of your sentence, you hit the gymnasium, you get yourself clean, and you get yourself fighting fit to land on the road again. So them days are gone, especially with addiction now, because they fund that habit inside. So that's the second subject I want to get through tonight, guys. I hope you guys are liking the content, what I'm putting out. This is just coming straight from the horse's mouth, because obviously I've got experience in it. The third subject I want to talk to you about is admitting your addiction. And that's a very hard thing to do, especially if you come from working class and you've got a decent family around you, a missus around you, or, you know, sensible people around you, because heroin is not a socially accepted drug. So people will always constantly look down their noses at people that take heroin and basically not trust them. They're not trusted people. That's how they're looked at in society, and that's the truth. I was on it, and, you know, I can see now, especially now I'm clean, I'm 10 years clean, I can see now, like, I didn't have no consequences for my actions, and I didn't really care. But let me have a drink, so I'm getting a little bit dry. 16 minutes in, eh? Not too bad. So yeah, seeking help or telling other people, that will be your first step to recovery, to be honest with you. If you can reach out to someone and let someone know your situation, there's always someone what will help you. There's always someone sorry about this, my dog. There's always someone what will put you in the right direction of that. So you're never ever alone. Even if you're withdrawing, you can always go onto your phone, and, you know, you can. There's so many people now that will help you now. But the first step of recovery definitely is reaching out, talking about it, getting it off your chest, telling other people your situation, because especially for number one, if you're planning on coming off of it and you're going to have withdrawals, then you've got to let someone know that, because, you know, I'm not trying to frighten people, but, you know, it is known that you can die from withdrawals off of heroin, heart failure and things like that. So, and, you know, and not only that, it's always best to let someone know, because of, like, they will help you. If you don't tell anyone that you've got a problem, and they find out that you've got a problem, it's not really as genuine as you asking for help, if you know what I mean. So I always advise people to seek help, reach out and tell other people. You haven't got to tell lots of people, just one person who you know you can rely on, and you know is going to keep your stuff confidentiality. If I'm the answer to that, and if you need me to help you and to seek advice and to give you advice, then please don't hesitate to drop me a PM. I'm always available on all platforms to give advice and to try my best to help you guys out. So that's that one. Right, the last subject I want to talk to you about is staying focused. So basically, once you're clean, whether it be 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, as soon as you stop taking heroin, you're clean, basically. I know it takes a good few weeks to actually come out of you, and for you to be straight and to get any sleep. Will we stop to save when you answer the call? So I've just got to decline this call. Sorry about that. That's my sister just ringing me up. Sorry about that, guys. I'm back. Yeah, so I was talking about staying focused. Once you're clean. So basically, once you're clean, you get all your emotions back. you get all your feelings back, you even get your taste back, you get your appetite back, your sleeping pattern comes back, you start socializing a lot more, you get all your old friends back, you get all your family back, and people will naturally warm to you because they know that you've been in the trenches, you've been through the wars, and you've pulled yourself out of it, and you're here to tell that you're sitting there to tell them the story. So staying focused. How I'd advise you to stay focused is, for one, break your circle of friends who you was using with. That's the first thing to do. The second thing to do, if you can, move out of the area and start afresh somewhere else. The third thing, stay with your partner. Your partner will never ever see you go wrong. And to be honest with you, it is not a good idea for both of you to be using at the same time, because you could find that if you stop using together, you and your partner, when you get clean, you might be miles and miles and miles away from each other, and you might be two different people altogether, because drugs alter the mind, and and block your feelings out and things like that. So I never advise anyone to use with their partner. But yeah, stay with your partner, stay with your family and your friends, start socialising, start eating good. If you've got a dog, take the dog out for a walk, and everything in life will start dropping into place. It doesn't happen straight away, but believe me, when you start to roll right and you start to think right, everything drops into place. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave this video here for you because I'm 20 minutes in. I hope you guys enjoy this video. I know it's all about addiction, but it's something that I keep very close to my chest because I'm in recovery myself. I might have been in recovery for 12 years, but I'll be in recovery for the rest of my life. And if this video can help one other person or inspire one other person, then my job is done. So whatever you're doing, guys, stay safe. Have a wicked, 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 nice Merry Christmas. Take good care. Be lucky. Peace.